For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome back, everybody. That's right. It is your 15 minutes with Tom Bass. It's been a while, but it's been the end of summer, so we're getting things going. You notice I kind of went with like a little move like there. That's a little precursor to who's going to be with me today. I've got an amazing guest today. I'm very hyped up. I'm pumped up about it. Come on in and join me. It's going to be a great, great day. I'm bringing on Blood. That's right, Blood. I've got my cousin, Michael Schwartz. Come on, buddy. This guy is an animal. Mike, grab the mic. Don't try and talk without the mic. Mike, get the mic.
I got the mic.
Hey, welcome. Come on, take a seat, buddy. We'll sit next to Symbol right here. I'm going to hit my little clock. We'll get things going, and welcome to the show, buddy.
I'm excited to be here.
So we're excited. Last time you saw me, I was on the beaches of Panama City area.
Jealous.
Now it's a little different. Now we're in the bowels of a development called the Roswell Wrestling Arena or Room.
That's absolutely right.
Tell me a little bit about that. What's going on? Why are we here?
This is where the Roswell Hornets get it done. This is where we have our practices for the varsity and junior varsity, and our middle school and younger kids come here to wrestle. And we have pretty much our own facility. The walls are matted, and we can get loud and rowdy, and there's no one here to shut us up. It's fun.
So tell me a little bit about Michael Schwartz, relative of mine, but also your history and how wrestling has played a role in your life, but a little bit about your background.
I'm born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia. My father is your cousin.
First cousin.
First cousin, real
Jerry
cousin.
Schwartz, by the way, the greatest male athlete at his age in possibly the United States. We'll say Georgia.
And that is not an over-exaggeration. I tell everyone I'm the fattest of our family.
The man is unbelievable.
I'm the out-of-shape person in the family.
He will outshoot you, out-racquetball you, out anything.
Pickleball you, crazy.
Everything. All right.
So, real little guy my whole life, really, really small. Took growth hormone, I was so small. And I played football, and I played basketball, and I played baseball, and I just couldn't soccer, and I just couldn't excel, although I was a good athlete.
Right.
So one day I walked onto the wrestling mat. I was about 8, 9 years old. One of my older sister Mindy's boyfriends at the time was an excellent wrestler. So he took me along with him, tag along, and I always said, I can't wrestle this little guy. Because I was so used to wrestling guys and messing with guys twice my size.
Sure.
And
like me.
Like you.
Right, exactly.
And when I finally got a chance to wrestle someone my size, I just destroyed them. And it was such a great feeling because I said, this is where I can thrive. And I was hooked ever since. And that was about 9-ish years old, and I did it my whole life. I did Junior Olympics. I did Greco and freestyle. I did Maccabee Games. I've been in all over the world. I've been in Canada. I've been in all different states, multi-gold medalist. And I had a freak accident my senior year, so I lost my ability to wrestle in college. But I've always had wrestling in my heart, and I always wanted to give back. And a couple years ago, I had a chance to coach at Forsyth Central. Go Bulldogs, phenomenal team. And then when I moved closer to my little ones,
right.
Roswell High School popped up, and Coach Braddock gave me a shot for Roswell Hornets, and here I am. And this is my second year as assistant wrestling coach.
Now, let me say this. So probably if I said to you, your best moves are like the atomic knee drop, the sleeper hold, and the eye gouge, is that probably a misnomer? I'm probably wrong about that.
It's a little off. I mean, I've seen guys do that.
But you can't get away with that anymore, can you?
There's penalties involved. No. It's interesting. Wrestling is the oldest sport in the world, even older than marathon. And predates everything, and it's two individuals, it's roughly the same height but always the same weight, and it's no star quarterback, no world-class all-American professional pitcher to shut the team down that you can lean on, no 7-foot center. It's you and him or her nowadays on the mat, and one person wins, one person loses, no draws.
Wow. There's
overtime, and someone will win and someone will lose. And so if you go undefeated in wrestling, you're truly undefeated.
And I will tell you, this is all kidding aside, arguably, and I say this to people all the time, the players I've coached, that I would argue that wrestling and probably swimming, believe it or not, but wrestling there is no other sport tougher than a wrestler. It takes a certain kind of person, would you not agree, to be a wrestler?
It's just so exhausting because like swimming's exhausting because you're going against the semi-immovable force. It's just no matter what you do, the current is there, the water's there, and it's unforgiving, unrelenting. It's the same thing with the wrestling. It's your will versus theirs, and you have to take it from them, and they're trying to take it from you in that weight. I mean, people think it's go pick up an 80-pound bag of concrete at Home Depot and just pick it up.
What if I can't lift an 80-pound bag?
Exactly.
Can I pay someone to do
Now
it?
extrapolate that to a guy your size.
Get your mic close to your mouth.
Extrapolate to a guy 185 pounds, 190 pounds of dead weight, not wanting to move and pushing you back.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
It is. And then of course that feeling of victory or defeat has got to be just so powerful on either end because it's mano-a-mano, one-on-one.
Right.
So now let me switch gears just for a second, not necessarily about wrestling, but about confrontation. One of the biggest things right now, maybe it's dying down a hair, is MMA. Tell me a little bit about. I believe you have a history. You were involved a little bit with that, or
Yeah.
how does MMA differ from wrestling, and what does someone need to do? And because that seems like a pretty scary, tough run.
Well, I fought here professionally in Atlanta for 10 years, on and off, under the banner of Cage Fighter Championships by Mr. Brett Moses, who is a local legend. He's in the MMA Hall of Fame. He was an All-American wrestler at Georgia before Georgia lost its program. Now he runs a facility, X3, up in Athens, Georgia. And he's a black belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which is the pioneers of MMA. And all the greats, Randy Couture, world champion, Forrest Griffin, world champion, local guys, the Asensio brothers, Raphael and Junior and Freddie, and along with Coach Jeff Bedard at Reinhardt University, they all wrestled under Brett and here in Atlanta. And the interesting thing about Atlanta is when MMA started, it wasn't MMA, it was NHB, No Holds Barred.
Right, that's right.
And
No
so
holds barred.
there was no weight class. That's when I fought. There were no weight classes. There were no mouthpieces, no
So you're telling me you went up against guys that were 100 pounds more than you?
My first fight was about a 295-pound backup offensive lineman at University of Georgia. I put him in a chokehold, choked him out in 30 seconds. The ref didn't know what happened. He literally fell on top of me, and I was suffocating with him on top of me as I was choking him. And
so no gloves, no mouthpiece,
no
just
gloves,
we're
no
going to get
mouthpiece.
after it.
Get after it. And then as rules changed to make it more of a sport,
right,
they added rules which were needed and in a great way turned it into the MMA what it is now, the UFC and all the other programs, Pride and just Showtime, and made it a billion-dollar industry. And it's still, wrestlers are dominate. Of the world champions, of the 8 world champions UFC, I think all 12 of them have a background in wrestling.
Wow.
I mean, there are strikers, MMA, mixed martial arts. There are strikers, but traditionally it's a judo, it's a jiu-jitsu, or it's wrestling. It's a grappling of some kind. It's the best, to me, it's the greatest self-defense on one-on-one a person can have.
Do you think right now, if we went at it, that I could take you down and defeat you in any kind of wrestling or MMA?
No.
100% no.
100%. If we wrestled,
right? I mean, right now, if we were serious, let's go. And I could do eye gouges. I could do full Nelsons. I could do all kinds of stuff. Do you think I could take you?
Absolutely not. You would last less than 45 seconds.
I can't, and I don't want to do it because I don't want to get hurt. So let's move on instead. This, as you know, is my table. It's called Symbol.
Yes.
And the English teacher in me, it symbolizes things. And I asked my guests, yourself being one, and I'm glad you're here. You look great. And that shirt fits you well.
I love it.
Love it. Tell us about what you brought today, your story behind your symbol.
I brought a kind of a canvas picture of me. This is important to me because I'm in the Canadian Rockies.
Now, before you get too much in the story, if you don't mind,
want me
can
to
I
walk it up? Yeah.
I'm going to walk it up so everybody can see.
Do you want me to keep talking?
Just walk it out. Just walk it out. Just walk it out. Now, I have noticed on this incredible image here, you're looking a little bigger. Here, it looks like you might have been a little heavier in this shot.
225.
I don't want to offend you.
225 pounds.
Okay.
I'm now 185 pounds.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to hurt your feelings.
And that's part of why this is so symbolic to me.
Okay. All right, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My Uncle Ron, your cousin, Fran's husband,
right,
who's probably the second greatest athlete in the world. He's 7 years old and goes 50 miles at a time in the middle of the Canadian Rockies by himself.
I can ride a bike for 15 minutes.
He puts on a 50-pound rucksack, I'm not exaggerating, and just walks into the wilderness. No food, no rations, finds what he needs, makes fires, makes shelter, bears, by himself. He's a professional level guy.
This is putting me way below the food chain. I've got your dad, I've got Ron, I've got Courtney, you, I'm not sure about that. it puts me at almost like a guy that should be on aisle 7 at Kroger
Yeah, but
just buying stuff.
But you're a Hall of Famer, so
Okay.
that puts you way back.
All right, so back to the story.
So long story short, every year he goes to the Canadian Rockies. He spends almost 3 full months in the Canadian Rockies as a guide for people, not necessarily professionally, but for friends, and just doing his own thing. And he has for, I think it's been 30 years.
Wow.
So he reached out to me and said, I know you've gone through some things in life, and I know you've had some struggles physically. I've had my neck fused. I've had my back fused twice. I have 3 pins in my left shoulder, pin in my right shoulder. I've had 14 surgeries. I have 8 pins. I have 12 plates.
Double knee replacement.
Yes, I have one of those too. Not a full knee replacement, just scope my knee.
All right, go ahead.
Pin in my ankle.
Go ahead. You win. Go.
I don't win, but when you're 5'4" in a 6'2" world, things happen to you.
And you're a tough guy, so go ahead.
And so he said, come out with me and spend some time with me in the wilderness. And I was nervous because of my injuries and because of my cardio and because of my weight. And I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to face my fear because I always tell my children to be fearless. And so I went out and did it. Spent 10 days in the Canadian Rockies, and we saw some bears. We were way out in the wilderness, and it rained and cold, and we climbed, legit mountainsides. It was exhausting, and this is one of the days. This is that's actual glacier water, like legit. There were pieces of glacier floating in that water, and I climbed to about a 40-ish foot cliff, and I jumped in, and the water was so cold, and I was so high, and I was so heavy that when I went down, when you look up, the water's so clear, you think that the top is
right there.
Yeah. But it's not, and it is like.
And you were panicking.
Legit life or death. And I got to the top, and I got out of the water, and I was like, I'm doing it again. I did it 2 more times. And this is the picture of it. And
that
it
is
just
awesome.
was something was so exhilarating and just freeing about just jumping off a cliff.
Well, I always ask my guests, and so this would be a place, that you've traveled to. Let me throw this at you. That is pretty amazing. How about do you have an animal?
I do have an animal.
Tell me about your animal.
I have a beautiful rescued miniature Siberian Husky. They're actually called a Klekai. It's a designer breed, but it looks identical to a Husky.
Klekai sounds like the out of the what was it, the Karate Kid?
Yeah,
what they call Klekai?
Hit him with the Klekai.
Something like that.
Something like
All
that.
right, go ahead. Back to the story.
And so I rescued him for one of my customers. I own a small construction company. And
Oh, by the way, stop. I want you to continue the
that's
story.
right.
So every one of my shows, and we're going to, believe me, throngs of people are watching this. So we know throngs.
Throngs, I know.
And we're waiting for a major sponsor. But until we do, every show has its own sponsorship. So this is time for you, Michael Schwartz, to plug what you would like to plug.
I own Schwartz Home Services, and we do high-end renovations, master bathrooms, kitchens, additions, anything you need in your home. We'd love to come look at it for you and help you out.
Email address?
mschwartz72 at gmail.com, or on Facebook, it's just Schwartz Home Services, Inc.
Okay.
LLC.
Get on that. Okay, back to your story.
So,
Your dog.
So, sweetest puppy in the world, little bitty guy, only about 40 pounds. He looks bigger because he's got all puffy.
Right.
Well, he got bit in the face, in the eyeball, legitimate, in the eyeball by a copperhead about a month ago. He was protecting the house. Zach, my little man, plays golf out there. My Sophia plays golf out there, right where they play golf. Right where they play, not being melodramatic. We found a copperhead. I ended up killing it. It bit him right in the eyeball, and they thought he was going to lose his eye. East Roswell Vet Clinic gave him this really amazing serum. We used his own stem cells, his own blood, and we put eye drops in his eye, and his vision has 100% returned.
Well, I want you to know that right now you have officially frightened me because I am, of recent times, taking back my backyard. So in the last few weeks, I'm pulling vines, I'm taking down trampolines, I've got bugs and mosquitoes all over me.
Gotta wear gloves.
I've been wearing gloves, but I've only worn sneakers.
Nope, boots.
I now am very afraid I need boots.
Boots and jeans.
What size shoe do you wear?
I wear a size 9.
So I wear 12. I couldn't borrow your shoes.
Well, you're 6'2". I'm 5'4.5".
It would hurt.
It would hurt.
Tell me about a time, while we have a couple minutes left, where you might have come across a brush with fame, somebody famous.
Well, no one is going to believe this. No one believes this when I say it, except for Lori Feldman because she was there. I used to work at Post Properties for a little while, and Shannon Elizabeth, and as in Nadia, as in American Pie, the gorgeous Shannon Elizabeth.
So you're talking about the American Pie movie?
Pie movie.
Yes.
It just finished filming, and she was not a Shannon Elizabeth yet. She was Shannon Elizabeth like Ferrara. Forget her last name.
Right.
And she lived with her parents at a Post Property. and she didn't know she was about to become a movie star. So she's at the Post property, and we hit it off, and we went on a few dates, and it was really cool. Super, super sweet girl. And next thing I know, she had to go to Hollywood. I'm like, yeah, you're just BSing me. You're not going to Hollywood. Who goes to Hollywood?
Right.
So about a month or two later, I'm in the movie theater, and in walks Nadia,
AKA
Shannon Elizabeth, the girl that I was dating. Not dating, went on dates with. And nobody would believe me. And to this day, probably 30 years, I don't know, what, 25 years later, whatever it is, no one believes me except for Lori Feldman because she was there when I went.
See, if you had a cell phone, you'd have footage.
If I had a cell phone, I would have had footage.
It
would have been fun footage.
Yeah, it would have been fun footage, yeah, but I want to believe you.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I don't believe you. You look like someone who could date a movie star.
And I appreciate that.
And just in my opinion. So
that could be the family looks.
it's the looks, okay? It's the hair.
It's the hair. I still have mine a little bit.
Yeah, I know a little bit. All right, so the final thing we do here on the show is as we begin to wrap up, because unfortunately it goes fast. You know, I got my clock. Sir, you are 6 seconds away from your time. In fact, Roscoe, who's my dog, who may get bit by a snake, and I'm nervous about that, we have the Roscoe sound. There it is. Your 15 minutes are up, sir. So therefore, what I'm going to ask you to do as I clean up, you look like a guy that's got a great voice. Are you a karaoke guy?
I am a karaoke guy, but I have a horrible voice. My son is an amazing singer. I am a horrific singer, so I will be doing a rap.
Oh, this is going to be fantastic. So just feel free to do your rap and as I shut down the show. But Michael Schwartz, my cousin, Wrestler Supreme, I don't agree with you. I think if I wanted to, I could pin you right now. But that's another show for another day.
I like it.
And I'm going to let you begin singing as I begin to clean up the set. So have at it, my friend.
How about a little Beastie Boys?
Let's go.
Now, here's a little story I got to tell about three bad brothers you know so well. It started way back in history with that Rock MCA and me, Mike D. Had a little horsey named Paul Revere. Just me, my horsey, in a quart of mirror. Riding across the land, kicking up sand, posses on my tail because I'm in demand. One lonely beastie I be, all by myself without nobody. The sun is beating down on my baseball cap. The beer's getting hot. The beer's getting flat. Looking for a girl. I ran into a guy. He says MCA. I said howdy. He said hi.
And Michael Schwartz, we are in the room, the wrestling room. Let's see if we were going to grapple right here. Would you shoot down low and get me?
No,
Oh, my God. Okay, I can't do it. All right. Well, hey, we're out of here. We got time is up. But listen, it's been your 15 minutes with Tom Bass. We'll see you again soon for episode 7. Thank you, cousin. You can go that way. I'll go this way, and I'm out of here.